Summertime is heating up at Global Voice Broadcasting. Hot music, hot talk, and hot topics. All day, every day, 24/7. You don't want to miss a minute on Global Voice Broadcasting.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success, brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kenan Wesley Mason.
This is your host, Louise Hicks of Aim to Purpose. Thank you all for joining us again today for another Aim to Purpose. I have here with me my co-host, Kenan Wesley Mason, and we have a wonderful show for you today. We're going international today, and hope you all had a great weekend. We have with us today Miss Brenda Pearce, and our topic today is exciting, it's dynamic, it's informative, it's insightful, and it's exciting. Our topic is healthy mind, healthy body. And we know if your mind is healthy, your body is definitely healthier. And we're going to be evolving, electrifying, and empowering today. Go ahead, Ken, and say something to our audience worldwide.
Yes, we are worldwide, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to us live. For all of you, or for any of you that want to call into the show, as always, we have a global transmission, so you can always give us a call at 1-323-522-5482. Once again, that's 1-323-522-5482 from anywhere around the world. Excuse me. Because of who our guest is today, I just want to go over a few things that if you listen to the very first show we did, I ran down a few of my credentials, as my mom did with explaining what Aim to Purpose is, but I just want to go over a couple of things real quick before we bring on our first guest. First of all, I have to give a disclaimer because of this particular topic. I'm not a doctor. So with that being said, I'm just going to go over real quick just some of my few credentials that I've accumulated over the last 12 years, starting with this one here, which is my first. This is for massage therapy, which is right here. This one here. This is for massage therapy. This was from 12 years ago, back in 2002. And this right here was the very start of my journey into going into deeper health matters, learning about health matters from a non-allopathic viewpoint or scope. And so this was the starting point right here. This right here is my national certification, which I received on 2 occasions. So I had for a total of 8 years total with that. So that right there is it's a national certification. It goes into higher education when it comes to massage therapy and other touch therapies for individuals or for clients that I would see. This next one here is after learning different ways of healing and learning about food, learning about emotional patterns, learning about the ways of the human brain and the human mind. I got my certified nutrition and wellness consulting certification through the AFPA. You can see it right there. And also, I'm a certified personal trainer also through the AFPA. And all of these, here's a second certification through expertrating.com. This is another personal trainer certification right there. This is my sports nutrition certification to give athletes a different perspective on what the recommended suggestions are to be optimally healthy for professional athletics, or whether it's at a junior high school level, college level. It doesn't really matter. There are basic things that can be done to receive optimal health. Now, going back to my massage therapy course from back in 2002, part of the curriculum had an energy healing modality that I had never heard of prior to going to school for massage therapy. And this is from my teacher, Timothy Zimbeck, who I respect a great deal. This is the first of, you can see it right there, this is the first of 3 levels of Reiki, which is an energy healing modality. You see that right there. And from there, I went on about a couple of years after that, I think in 2000, and this is from November of 2005. I went back to receive my certification for Reiki degree number 2, which is right here through Judith Bilson, who's a Reiki master teacher and a doctor of divinity, and I believe she's a PhD as well. And lastly, from December of 2005, level number 3, which is Reiki Master Practitioner, which is this certification right here. And all of these are current, and the one that is forever and ever, which I'm most proud of, this right here is my board certification for Holistic Alternative Psychology Practitioner, which I received in 2011 from the National Institute of Holistic Health and Wellness. And all of them are current. So with that being said, we do have a special guest that we're going to bring on. And like my mom said, it is our first international guest because we are a global transmission. This is Global Voice Broadcasting, and I'm thankful that we do have someone coming on to prove that we are spreading the word globally.
Yes, we are, and we have guests that will be coming on in the near future from the UK and South Africa. So we are just globally touching lives all over the world. And today, our international guests, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be right back and introduce our international guest, Miss Brenda Pearce, all the way from Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
So we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Hey folks, it's Ken here. If you or someone you know around the world has a small business, organization, or foundation you'd like to share with the Aim to Purpose audience, showcase it here on our segment of the show called Small Business Monday. The opportunities for people around the world to browse, buy, and use your products and services are endless. We pre-screen all businesses, organizations, and foundations for legitimacy, but because this is a free community service brought to our audience, it's at no cost to you as well. You heard it right. It's absolutely free, and you don't have to pay 1 penny. How do you like that? You just come on down to the studio and tell the story of your business, organization, or foundation, and give it the praises and accolades you know it deserves. If you're in another part of the state or country, or if you're in another part of the world, you can easily call in or Skype in and do the same. So what are you waiting for? Contact the show's publicist, Shamika Brown, at www.shamikabrown.com info@divinebrownmedia.com. She can also be contacted at 1-818-533-8463 or contact Louise Hicks at www.louisehicks.biz. She can also be contacted at 1-562-310-1495. Allow yourself to be seen by the global masses and allow your business to shine and grow because of the global masses. It's Small Business Monday, courtesy of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you all for joining us.
Yay! Yay! Well, as we said before we went to break, I want to introduce to you our special guest for today. Brenda Pearce is an RN, healer, speaker, teacher, author, and broadcast host of E Factor Radio. This has all evolved over the last couple of years, but it is a 3-minute hands-on healing that changed her life and pointed her in this new direction. This 3-minute hands-on healing helped to break through pain, fear, and anxiety that was at an all-time high and replaced it with a new sense of knowing peace in her life. This spurred her on to learn more and gain more insight into what it means to be alive. Now she speaks about alternative healing and integrative medicine to pretty much anyone who will listen. And she's also she also co-authored a book called The Inner Circle Chronicles. So, without further ado, we want to bring on our first international guest. She is Brenda Pearce. Brenda, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you
hello,
perfectly.
Brenda, and welcome.
Thank you. This is a real honor to be with both of you. And your mission and your work is spreading worldwide, and I'm so thrilled to be part of this.
Thank you so much. First, just reading your bio, the first thing I want to ask you, tell our audience what that hands-on healing modality was for you.
I would love to tell you. It's Reiki.
Yes.
And, and it's amazing what 3 minutes of Reiki can do, let alone an hour or distance work. It is absolutely fantastic.
Yes. Tell our audience the story of the events that led you from, because you're a registered nurse currently, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so tell our audience what led you from going into being a registered nurse and what transpired with you to lead you into energy work and how the two kind of differ, because they're kind of polar opposites when it comes to from allopathic to more energy modalities of healing the human body.
And kind of
Yes.
explain to us too, Brenda, what, for those of us that are not experts in this, exactly what Reiki is, a little bit more detail about that as well.
Yes.
Well, have you got 3 hours?
I wish we did.
I wish. We're working on it.
Okay, I'll give you the snapshot version. 11 years ago, I was going through the pits of despair personally. So I was working as a registered nurse, mom to 3 beautiful young children, and going through the struggle of my husband battling mental illness and depression and schizophrenia and psychosis, and thinking I was in the mafia and trying to hold it all together. And let me tell you, that was like, anybody who's going through challenges in their life, that's about as low as I could personally, physically go, mentally, emotionally. And I put out a prayer to the universe, and God has a way of amazingly answering almost spontaneously.
Yes.
So, and the day before I had my 3-minute session, my husband was hospitalized. I had gone in to see him, and it was like the first time after he was committed for 48 hours. And he was so mad at me. He could not understand. He lacked insight, and he threw the wedding ring at me. And, it was like the lowest point. Where are we going to go from here? What are we going to do? And how are things going to get better? Anyway, I went to work the next day and worked like normal, taking care of my patients and giving out the medications, and never knowing anything about this other field that was going to hit me like in about 2 hours. And that was, and at that point, I was a nurse for 20 years.
Wow.
And, so if it didn't come from a medical prescription pad or from the mouth of a doctor, it just was not going to happen.
Right. That's right.
But that morning I went to work and something happened. There was one of our volunteers who works with the palliative care patients who are dying or near death or, in the end stage of their life, was going around my unit. And she was wearing the familiar yellow jacket, but she was doing something very atypical, and that was putting her hands on people. In such a way. She would, talk to them very softly. She would bow down in front of them and put her hands on their feet. And the nurses and I that were on that day had never seen this before.
Right.
And of course, we were kind of following around surreptitiously and kind of looking through around doors and peeking to see what was going on. But little did we know that this lady was a Reiki master, and we had no clue what she was doing.
Right.
But we did start to see little signs sitting around all over the place. Call the nursing office to set up your stress break appointment. Well, stress, we all had it,
Yes.
250%. And we kind of laughed. Okay, yeah, well, how are we going to break stress around here kind of thing?
Right.
So what happened is this lady, this volunteer, noticed we were kind of following around and looking. And so when myself and another gal went to coffee break, she followed us downstairs. And we were just alone, 2 of us alone in the coffee break room. And in she comes, and we thought, oh my gosh, the voodoo lady is here.
Right. Yeah.
We had no clue. So she very nicely explained it very quickly who she was, what she was doing, and what she could offer. And she said, this is really, really very effective for reducing stress. Then the light bulb went on. Okay, so this is what these stress breaks are about then. So she said, I'm willing to do a 3-minute little hands-on session to prove my point. Would anybody be interested? Well, I was jumping out of my seat going, please do something. Yes, pick me.
Yeah.
So she picked me because I was obviously there. And she did. She put her hands on my head, my neck, my shoulders. And at that point, when she got to my shoulders, I lost consciousness. I was in another zone. I had never been there before in my conscious mind, specifically not in the last, little while prior to.
Right.
And I felt like I was safe. I felt like I was back in my mother's arms, to be truthful.
Yes.
Very safe, very protected, very loved, very relaxed. And in that 3 minutes, and she went down and did my knees and my feet. I didn't even feel her moving her hands.
Yeah.
And when she was done, she basically said, touched my knee and said, okay, now take a couple deep breaths and come back. Take your time. And when I came back, it was like I had been in a beautiful deep sleep, very peaceful, very relaxed. And I was very jubilant because she had broken the spell I was under, the stress spell.
Right.
That is amazing. Electrifying. And that's how I guess you came about with the evolving and electrifying and empowering, because that story is just amazing how someone can touch you like you're saying. I'm just in awe. And Ken, I know you guys are the experts, so.
Well, I mean, anytime, like you said, here comes the voodoo lady. Most people, I don't know how it may be in Canada, but here, I mean, things are slowly but surely turning around where more people are getting more information about I guess, the divine order of self-healing, or in this case of Reiki, it can be either a touch therapy, hands-on, or it cannot be hands-on. Whatever the client prefers, obviously. But these modalities are something that really they have to start coming back up to the forefront, as they were hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, as in Reiki's been around for thousands of years. And unfortunately, the masses haven't been privy to this sort of healing aspect of energy. We're all made of energy, so why would it be such a far-fetched notion for us to, for example, if you cut yourself, all of us universally will have something spontaneously happen to where the body automatically goes into start to heal itself into what we know as a scab. It stays there. It protects your body from infection and things of this nature. And within a week or two later, it falls off automatically. This is self-healing by divine order. Reiki is a practice that more and more people are starting to learn about. Now, do you actually practice? Do you practice Reiki as a teacher or a practitioner, or you've just had the practice on you?
Oh, yeah. I am a master teacher myself. It took me 5 years to get through the levels in my lineage of Usui Reiki, and there's different lineages of Reiki.
Yes.
Mine requires 4 levels to become master teacher.
Right.
And so I was that lady, the freaky voodoo lady,
Yeah.
actually became my mentor and my friend and my Reiki teacher. And so I have moved to not only being a practitioner, it becomes a part of your daily life practice.
That's right.
I know I still work as a part-time registered nurse, and so on my way to work, I'm doing distance Reiki for the clients that I'm taking care of, the institution that I'm working for, and I always say when I walk through the doors, may everything and everyone I touch today be blessed with Reiki love.
Right.
And so it just becomes you.
That's right. Now tell our audience what Reiki means. What is the definition of Reiki?
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. Actually, it's a Japanese word. It's 2 words, actually. It means universal life force energy.
Right.
And basically what you do is you're drawing all around us. Is the unseen is as real as what you do see.
That's right.
And it pulls in through you as you're attuned to receiving this higher frequency of vibration. It flows through you, this energy, and it flows through your heart and your hands. And if you're doing a touch, then it flows through to the person you're touching.
Right.
You can work with this distantly, and I've created quite an international business by doing distance Reiki. And so we are all connected internationally.
Yes.
Whether we are sitting next to each other or halfway around the world or all the way around the world.
Right.
We are all one.
Yes.
And when we lose the barriers of regionality and countries and borders, there is just this common consciousness that is the human species, or anything that has a life force in it, like the plants, the animals, the trees,
Right.
our pets, everything that has a life force in it.
Everything. Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And I like that, what you just said, Brenda, about the Reiki, that it's a universal life force of energy, and that we are connected consciously because we share the same image. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at you on the screen and looking at Ken and myself, and we're all human. We have the same hands, mouth,
Yes.
nose, eyes, ears, and we eliminate the same waste and so forth, the same. And I'm saying we are, and that's what Aim to Purpose is all about. We want to bring a conscious awareness worldwide to help people to
Yes.
understand that we are connected and we can bring about some type of harmony and love because of that connection. And I like that what you just said, and it's just so awesome and dynamic that we are sitting here and you're sharing this information, because I did not know what Reiki is. And I know Ken had some other question, but I wanted to get into something else that was shared with me through, I believe, an email I had seen on Facebook where you were talking about thermogram. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying, what is a thermogram? I don't know what that is. I had never heard the term. So I did a little private survey with different ladies and I asked, I said, well, do you know what a thermogram is? And they said, a what? No one had ever heard of it. Out of all the ladies that I asked, not a one had ever heard of it, let alone know what thermogram is. And then I asked, do you know what a mammogram is? Everyone knew about
100%
the mammogram.
of them knew that.
100%. And I'm thinking to myself, why is that? That we've never heard of a thermogram, but we know what a mammogram is, particularly as a woman, because we're taught to examine our breasts for breast cancer, and we know we have this annual event called Breast Cancer Month. So I want you to share with us about this thermogram, what it is, how does it relate to us as female and our breast examination versus the mammogram?
I would love to. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Actually, mammograms and thermograms are not just for women. More men are coming down with breast cancer.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes, that's right.
I'm glad
No?
you
That's
said
right.
that, because
That's right.
that's something that I had heard, but I really wasn't that much aware of it. So enlighten us.
Yeah. Well, we talk about all the hormones that are in the food and the GMOs and all this manipulation that's been going on, and the weight that people are carrying and the environmental stressors. Breast cancer is just not for women anymore.
Right.
And so men, if you're listening, not only do you need to, have an annual rectal exam, you should be checking your breasts for lumps as well. And the thing is these days is with the mammogram, and let me share, whatever I am talking about right now, because I am a medical professional, is not to replace medical care, diagnostics, or any of that sort of thing. But this is a sharing of information to enlighten and enhance your life. And if this does enrich your life somehow or make a difference, then I am blessed for sharing.
Yes.
So the idea is, for anybody who does not know, is a mammogram is a radiological exam in which the breast tissue is put onto a very cold
Yes.
flat metal
Yes, it
plate.
is.
Yes. And then another kind of another radiological clamp or piece goes on top and squishes the breast tissue and then irradiates it to get a picture, which the radiologist will examine for any possible cysts or tumors or whatever, any kind of lesion that may be there, plugged milk ducts or whatever. And the standard of care is when you get to a certain age group, they want you to have these mammograms every year. And if you've ever had one mammogram, it's something you don't forget very easily, let alone going back every year and having your breasts squished and manipulated
Yes.
and irradiated and harmed.
Yes.
Because what happens is this very, very sacred and tender tissue of the female body, or now the male body, really is more susceptible to cancer, whether it be malignant or benign, because of the trauma of doing these mammograms.
Yeah.
And people need to know
Yes.
that sometimes there's actually some studies out there, and you can look these up in annotated medical sites, that there is an increased risk of breast cancer when there is trauma and radiation.
That's right.
So there are lots of times, not all times, and I think what happens is as soon as we hear there's a mass, we go into panic mode, and we think mammography, mastectomies, surgery, chemotherapy. We go right from that point to panic mode at the very end of it, and we put ourselves in such a tiz that sometimes, and I'm not saying all times, but there is an increased frequency of false positives for cancer.
Right.
And we go into the tailspin of what the standard of care is in the North American or the Western medicine world.
That's right.
And there's another way. And I really want people to start to understand that you have a choice. You do not have to subject yourself every year to this squishing, mutilation, radiation, and pain. It's called thermogram or thermography.
Or thermal imaging, if I'm not mistaken.
Thermal imaging is another wonderful way of putting it as well.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, thermal imaging has been FDA approved since 1982. It's a very safe, non-invasive screening tool for cancer and other diseases.
Right.
Now, most applications are as an alternative to mammography, but you can thermal scan any part of the body to pick up heat-sensitive tissue, and with skilled radiologists, medical doctors to review these, they can pick up early stages of irregularities within the body. And then you can go for the other radiological treatments that there may be or scans. But it's like, let's go this way first before we go into the highly invasive and destructive mode. And so breast tissues, they can be total body scans. They can be, thyroid scans, parathyroid scans. They can be anywhere on the body. Men for prostate gland enlargements and things like that. Thermography, what it does is it puts 30,000 points of heat interest into it, the area that's being scanned, and it does not emit any radiation.
That's right.
So
it's almost like a infrared imaging, or it's sort of like how I guess how the military would detect people in the dark.
Yes.
By heat censoring.
And you said, Brenda, is 30,000. What was that again?
Points of light interest or heat interest are pointed at the area that's being examined. So that's a lot of intensity of thermal imaging,
right?
Which is, and yet it has no ill effects, no radiation. So even though the 30,000 means that there's a lot of accuracy.
Yes, I was about to ask you about the accuracy, because again, there's no denying the heat regulation of the human body, and certain areas that may be in a acidosis state, where the heat potential may be a little different in the breast area versus in another part of the body.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question now. Something you stated that's really troubling to me, because I have had mammograms because I had a lump in my breast several years ago. Turns out to be benign. And I was told I needed to come back and get these mammograms and so forth, and that's all I knew. And you're telling me that the FDA has approved the thermogram or thermography since 1982?
Yes.
And why are we not told that we have an option men and women, because I had never heard of it, and that's why I was so happy you were willing to come on the show and share some of these things with us, because all the women I've asked, no one had heard of this. And the FDA approved this in 1982. That's been over 30 years ago.
Yes.
And why is it that we are not informed as the masses about these type of treatments that are better for our body, as opposed to the mammogram with the radiation and these clamps? Because I even had a technician to drop that thing on me, and it frightened me to the point now I don't even want to do a mammogram. And whenever I have done one, I tell them right off the bat, don't drop it on me, and I'm going to watch you very closely, because it's frightening and it was so painful. And when you say about that stress, that bothers me. So why aren't we made aware of this thermogram or thermography?
Well, that's a really, really good question. And for that, I don't know. It's just like, why do certain things be more prevalent in our health system than other things? Like, for instance, I watched a documentary not too long ago that talked about the standard of care for cancer care, which is chemotherapy, injecting really toxic high doses of things that are going to kill supposedly the bad tissue and kills the good tissue.
Everything.
And radiation, which is actually a technique that's been around since the 40s and 50s, and we are still using this barbaric stuff in the treatment and cure, supposedly, of cancer. So it's like the standard of care gets kind of, that's the way it goes.
Well,
and other things are not.
Oh, go ahead, Brenda.
It's okay. Just that other things are not then selected to be vogue, and so the thing is, like, where I am here in Canada, we're blessed with universal medical care, and so the most people, if it's already been paid for, are going to go the rate of what's going to be paid for, as opposed to what you have to pay for.
Right.
So they're in here, and whereas in many parts of the United States, I know that there's been health reform bills and all this other stuff, but you pay more for what you get, and so it is more of a matter of, if you're going to pay for A, why don't you find out about B and C as well?
Yes.
And put your money best where it belongs.
That's a great point. And I have to say, with my own personal experience, because I have so many stories I can share, because I've had a health problem now for years that stem from my employment. And it's not outwardly, I look like the perfect bill of health, but it's inwardly. And one day we'll have a show on that where I'll share some of that information. But my thinking is it has to do with the greed, the money. It's all involved, because I'm going to share with you, I had a doctor that, thank God, my doctor believed in alternative medicines as well, and sent me to acupuncture, physical therapy, water therapy, and some other therapies. I had chiropractic treatment, and otherwise I would probably be a walking medicine cabinet today. But because I chose to do some research on my own, and I just didn't accept what the doctors would tell me about these different medicines that had all these side effects. And a lot of this, I'm speaking from my own personal experience, so I don't have to do a disclaimer on me, because I'm talking about me now. And some of the doctors just wanted to shove medicines down my throat. And I kept saying, these have these side effects, and I can't deal with it. And thank God I had a doctor who believed not only in traditional medicine, because it does have its place, but a lot of this is nothing but greed on the part of the pharmaceuticals, and how they want us to walk around with medicine cabinets. And once you get off of this stuff, because I saw a segment on 2020 or 60 Minutes, one of them, with a gentleman that he was slowly taking off medicines, and I see it with children, like they were trying to get me to give my daughter Ritalin, and I refused. And a lot of it does have to do with the greed, as opposed to, like you say, give us an option and a choice. But that is just not happening in many instances, like with this thermogram.
Yeah, many people feel like because we've had this particular paradigm pretty much force-fed on us. There's been a, quote, war on cancer since 1972, and the rates of all cancers have grown, in particular colon cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer for men. All of these things are preventative. The human body is to be in an alkaline state versus being in an acidic state. And anyone can go and have their pH or potential hydrogen levels tested to see where they are in the acidosis versus the alkalinity state. Because it's been scientifically proven that cancer cannot exist in an alkaline environment.
Right.
And
So-
from your perspective as a nurse, what is your thinking on that? What Ken has just said, Brenda, about the what is it called?
Alkaline.
Alkaline presence, I guess, a level in your body, and the cancer, because we know they've said there's a war on everything, actually, in the United States. Let them tell it.
Right.
But however, nothing is being resolved. It appears everything is getting worse in terms of all these wars. And like I said, it's all about the greed and the money and who's feeding who and so forth, from my perspective. And what is your thinking on that before we go to a commercial break? And then we're going to come back and talk about E-factor.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, you're right. Now, nobody has to invade the United States or Canada because we're at war within ourselves, within our
Yes.
own borders. And, and you're right, there is this money thing that's going on. And, so it's, and that's nothing new. So I do believe, alkalinity, your pH level makes a huge difference. And like I say, that 3 minutes I had 11 years ago changed my life. It opened me up to understand that there's question everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question everything. Look for a second, follow the money trail. And the interesting thing is with all this is we can really, there's been great books written. Louise Hay has written "You Can Heal Your Life." There's a wonderful
excellent.
movie out there. Yeah,
It's
it is
excellent.
A great movie out there with Dr. Esselstyn. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. Forks Over Knives.
Yes.
Moving from
Yes.
from a meat-based diet and
Yes.
protein to the phytonutrients of vegetarianism.
Plant
What
life.
is the doctor's name
Yes.
again, Brenda? Because I'm going to look that book up. What is the doctor's name?
His name is Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn, Esselsstyn.
Okay.
And actually, I'm having him on E-Factor, so join me on that. We'll do an international exchange of shows here.
Great.
And,
And the
can
documentary
arrange-
is called Forks Over Knives, correct?
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
on Netflix. Is where you can find
Yeah.
that movie.
I've
Okay.
I've seen it. It's excellent.
I haven't seen
It
it. I'm
is.
gonna have to watch it. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, the amazing thing was I had never heard of the movie 6 weeks ago. I had never heard of Dr. Esselstyn until 6 weeks ago. I had a girlfriend actually who was having some health problems, and she went to a specialist after a 2-month wait to get in to see this doctor for her stomach and digestive problems. And he says, "Listen, I don't prescribe drugs. They're a last resort.
Yeah.
What I want you to do is think of the anti-inflammatory diet." He gave her information. He told her to watch the movie Forks Over Knives
Right.
and sent her on her way. And she was like, I like that doctor.
Yeah. Well, it gives people a sense of hope that there is something else. The notion is that once you're diagnosed, you're going to have the illness or disease forever, and so therefore you're going to be subjected to whatever medications that fall into that category, and you're going to be a built-in customer for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and
especially with things such as cancer and diabetes that pretty much run rampant all over this country. I don't know what the statistics are in Canada, but here in the States, it's pretty horrible and then some.
yeah, diabetes and heart disease and obesity and high blood pressure, you name it, but there's a war on everything. And it's amazing. And I just thank you so much for sharing this information, because any doctor, I feel, should not want to push all these different medicines up on you. And thank God, like I said, I had one, and I did my own research, and thank God I did. Otherwise, I wish I had known this information when my son, David, in 1995, was stricken with a rare bone cancer, osteogenic sarcoma. Had I known about all this information that I know now, I would have been better able to help him, as opposed to all the poison of the chemotherapy that went into his body and so forth. But I had no knowledge of any of these things that I have now. So with that being said, Brenda, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk about E-Factor some.
Wonderful. Thanks.
We'll be right back.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
Hello, world. Thank you for staying with us today. This has been such an enlightening hour for me. And the thing is, it seems that it goes by so fast.
Yes, it does.
And we know, Brenda, you've spoken about E-Factor, and this is your radio show. Share a little bit with us about that show. And I know I'm looking forward to seeing the doctor that you're going to have on your show as well.
Well, I'd be happy to arrange a introduction between you both.
Great.
And one of the wonderful things is his wife and daughter have written a cookbook that goes along with the plant-based diet. And his son, Rip, is also a phytonutritionist and biochemist, and really has a lot of information to back up scientifically what the doctor's talking about. So E-Factor is my baby, and again, it's all about empowering, electrifying, and really enriching lives. And I like E because there's so many wonderful descriptive words that come out of that. And so efactorlive.com is my growing and new website, which will be launched very, very shortly. And it is actually a podcasting network with streaming online radio, and basically working to enrich lives by making all these great, getting information not only from myself out there, but from many people like Sarah Jane Farrell, who's going to be a guest of yours, I believe.
Yes, she is, from South Africa.
Yes. Michelle Mayer from Australia is going to be on my broadcasting network.
I'll have to get Michelle on.
Yes, yes. And Lorraine Cohen. Many, many wonderful, enriching women and men from around the world who believe in empowering humanity. We're coming together collectively to get our messages out there as a group and help support each other and grow each other.
That's great. And give that site again, the E-Factor site.
Yes. So if you want to listen to the Blog Talk Radio show, it's blogtalkradio.com/E-Factor Brenda Pearce. And the podcast on-demand media network is www.efactorlive.com.
Perfect.
Perfect.
But in the couple of minutes that we have left, I want to ask you, because in your bio You said you pretty much speak to anybody that will actually listen to this, all of this quote mumbo jumbo called natural health and natural healing and all of the. Who tell us really quick about who refuses to listen to you versus the people that will take the time to listen to you and the contrast between the two.
Well, who isn't are people that are really cut into the mindset of their doctor is God.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, God, say that again. Please do.
The God complex.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, the thing is, doctors do not get a lot. Here's a good fact. Did you know doctors today do not swear the Hippocratic
The
Oath
Hippocratic
anymore?
Oath. Yes, 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 yes,
That's
yes.
gone. Where plants are thy medicine.
Yes. Let thy
That's
food be
why.
thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food.
Exactly.
That's from Hippocrates from Greece.
Exactly.
And you're so right about that God complex. But when I became deathly ill, I did not know what was wrong with me back in the early 2000s. I thought I was dying because of what had happened to me at my job. And I had a doctor who did not have that God complex. And sometimes he would try to push medicines off on me. And I would tell him, no, I've looked that up and I'm not taking that and so forth. So he fortunately didn't have that God complex. And I will only go to a doctor that doesn't have that. And we have to take our own health into our hands. And that's why we did
Yes.
this show, Healthy Mind, Healthy Body, because when you think for yourself, and we all do have a brain, and start using it to realize that it's all about the money. In many aspects of life, it's all about the money, and we need it to be all about our health and living as long as we can and as healthy as we can.
I always say that your health is your responsibility, not your doctor. We can't be so dependent because doctors, they only know what they are taught in medical school. They're taught very little about nutrition, and all that they're taught, for the most part, is how to write the prescription for the latest synthetic drug or how to purge the body through surgery. Anything with that has to do with nutrition, health, drinking water, we're doing anything. The way we treat ourselves, you would not treat your garden in the same manner. So again, the notion is that the body isn't capable of these things. We have to go to a doctor. When you become more responsible and get better information is power. So when you get information from Brenda Pearce or myself or my mom or any of these great documentaries that you mentioned, it creates power within, and we all have the opportunity to use it.
Absolutely. And we pretty much run out of time, Brenda. So let's have some final thoughts from you as to our listening audience worldwide, how to better take care of themselves so that they can have their mind healthy and have a healthier body.
Thank you. Well, the first thing is I would also like to bring forth the work of Dr. Emoto and
The water,
how he was
yes.
able to take
The
water
water,
crystals,
yes.
and
Yes.
change their crystallinity, their structure, depending on the high frequency of words around them, like love, joy.
That's right. That's right.
He was able to take very dirty, polluted water and change it.
Yep.
Just by putting Beethoven music around it.
That's right.
You know, so the thing is, we're 70% water, give or take.
Yep.
And we really need to understand the energy frequency of the words we use, the magnificence of our bodies, the power we have within our hands to heal and create, and really reach forward and become self-reliant and stop giving our power away.
Thank
I mean, there
you.
are times, like our emergency health is beyond compare.
Right.
But when it comes to health management, I don't want to be managed. I want to be healthy.
That's right. That's
I
right.
want to be free.
That's right. That's right.
Freedom, FREEDOM, freedom.
Right.
And that's what we're imparting to the masses, to claim your power, use your power. And we really thank you so much, Brenda, for coming on, sharing this. We're going to have you back.
Yes.
Back. Like I said, this time goes by
Love
so
to.
fast, and there's so much more that we could talk about. But we know the time escapes us, and we appreciate you coming on. And
Absolutely.
final
Thank
thoughts
you.
from you, Ken.
Well, I
Love
just
to have you on E Factor too.
Oh, I'll be there.
Absolutely.
We'll set up a date and time.
Absolutely. I just want to thank Brenda Pearce for being on the show and being open to tell this particular story that a lot of people are afraid to tell when it comes to health and wellness. So we'll be more than happy to have you back. And on that note, as my mom always says,
Your power lies within you. Let it loose. Until next week with our next guest, we will see you until then. Have a fantastic week.